They may look like $1,000,000 on screen, but off camera, these leading men are known for their less than appealing personal hygiene. In the 1920s and 1930s, actors like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton dazzled audiences with their slapstick routines and daring stunts. But hygiene? Not so much. Sets were basic, outdoor locations lacked running water, and showers were rare luxuries. After a long day of physical comedy, chances are the stars didn't smell as charming as they appeared. Still, audiences adored them, and hygiene, or the lack thereof, wasn't part of the discussion. By the 1940s, the studio system had taken over, and stars were carefully styled to fit a flawless image. Publicists worked hard to craft personas for leading men and starlets. However, not everyone embraced the polished expectations. Some actors leaned into a rugged, carefree image. Even into the golden age of Hollywood, whispers about the Hollywood stench circulated among crew members. Makeup artists and wardrobe teams occasionally struggled to manage stars who didn't prioritize personal care. For some, it was part of their charm, a rejection of the polished, controlled image studios wanted to project. For others, it was simply a byproduct of long hours and intense filming schedules. Marlon Brando is a name that stands tall in Hollywood history. Known for redefining acting with his groundbreaking performances, he brought a gritty realism to classics like A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather. But Brando wasn't just known for his craft. His hygiene, or lack of it, became an infamous part of his legend. For him, acting wasn't about pretending, it was about becoming. And if his characters didn't care about grooming, neither did he. Staying in character often meant personal hygiene took a back seat. Reports from co-stars and crew paint a vivid picture. Brando's body odor was so overpowering, people avoided lingering near him for too long. On the set of The Godfather, Brando's habits didn't go unnoticed. Crew members reportedly dreaded stepping into his trailer, where the smell was, let's say, unforgettable. Some accounts claim the stench was so intense it lingered long after he left the room. Brando, however, wasn't bothered. He openly admitted that he didn't see the point of regular showers and often wore the same clothes for days. To him, all that mattered was the art. Despite the discomfort he caused on set, Brando's talent was undeniable. His ability to inhabit a character was unmatched, and his lack of concern for appearances only added to his rebellious mystique. Brando wasn't about playing by the rules, he rewrote them. While some found his habits frustrating, others saw it as part of what made him a creative force. Brando's unpolished demeanor became part of his allure. He wasn't trying to be perfect or polished, and that authenticity resonated with audiences. His raw talent and refusal to conform made him a symbol of the anti-Hollywood establishment. His refusal to play the Hollywood game, on or off the screen, only solidified his status as a true original. And speaking of actors who exuded rugged charisma while breaking the rules, few captured the rebellious spirit of Hollywood quite like Steve McQueen. Known as the King of Cool, McQueen didn't just star in films like Bullitt and The Great Escape, he embodied them. His on-screen intensity and effortless charm drew audiences in, but his colleagues weren't always as enamored. Behind the scenes, McQueen was as famous for his untamed habits as he was for his box office success. It wasn't just his defiance of Hollywood norms that stood out, it was his unapologetic disregard for hygiene, which became an unspoken part of his tough guy mystique. McQueen was a rebel, both in life and in cleanliness. On set, he was known for skipping showers and wearing the same clothes for days. Sweaty, scruffy, and unapologetic, he carried his I do what I want energy everywhere, even if it made others keep their distance. Co-stars and crew often whispered about his strong body odor. Yet, many chalked it up to his rough-edged authenticity. During The Great Escape, McQueen's habits reportedly caused some challenges. His natural musk became a talking point among the crew, and director John Sturges wasn't thrilled about it. Some even joked that McQueen's scent should have gotten its own credit in the movie. The same was said during Bullitt, where McQueen's sweaty dedication to action scenes made him a legend, and a bit of a nose-plug necessity for those nearby. For McQueen, his carefree attitude wasn't a gimmick, it was who he was. He wasn't interested in playing the Hollywood game of perfection. He wanted to be real, and if that meant skipping a shower or two, so be it. His friends often described him as someone who lived on his own terms. If you didn't like it, that was your problem, not his. Despite the grumblings behind the scenes, McQueen's smelly reputation didn't tarnish his career. Instead, it became part of his rough-and-tumble charm. Fans loved him for his fearless authenticity, even if his co-stars didn't always love his, scent. McQueen's name as the ultimate action star remains untouched. His scruffy, sweaty image only made him more relatable, more magnetic, and yes, a little more human. Even if he wasn't the freshest-smelling guy on set, Steve McQueen was, and always will be, the king of cool. Fast forward to a new era of heartthrobs, and we find another actor who captured global attention with his mysterious charm, but for an entirely different audience. Robert Pattinson's transformation into the brooding vampire Edward Cullen in Twilight had fans swooning and filling theaters. His piercing gaze and enigmatic demeanor elevated him to instant stardom, cementing his place as the face of the franchise. During the Twilight era, Pattinson developed a reputation for being, let's say, low maintenance when it came to personal grooming. He openly admitted to rarely showering, often going days, sometimes weeks, without freshening up. "I don't like washing," he famously confessed, a comment that raised more than a few eyebrows. While his disheveled, devil-may-care attitude endeared him to some fans, it became a running joke on set. Crew members on the Twilight films didn't hold back, with several noting that Pattinson's body odor was, shall we say, memorable. His co-stars, including Kristen Stewart, made sly comments about his grooming habits in interviews. Some tried to laugh it off, framing his lack of hygiene as part of his quirky charm. Others were less charitable, suggesting that his resistance to basic cleanliness was a bit much, even for Hollywood's most rebellious leading man. Pattinson's reluctance to embrace showers wasn't limited to his personal life. He famously wore the same clothes repeatedly, often for days at a time. While many of his peers spent hours in hair and makeup, Pattinson seemed to delight in showing up as is, unapologetically unkempt. His attitude toward cleanliness was less about rebellion and more about sheer indifference. He simply didn't care, and somehow that only added to his mystique. Despite the chatter about his hygiene, Pattinson's career flourished. His raw talent and unconventional charm overshadowed any rumors about his scent. In fact, his scruffy, nonconformist vibe only made him more appealing to fans who saw him as refreshingly real compared to the hyper-polished stars surrounding him. Pattinson's rise to fame proved that Hollywood's obsession with perfection has its exceptions. Whether or not he smelled like a fresh meadow, his talent and charisma shone through. And let's be honest, in a world of picture-perfect vampires, it was nice to know that even Edward Cullen could be a little human after all. Switching from brooding vampires to endearingly awkward British charm, we come to Hugh Grant. Bursting onto the Hollywood scene in the 1990s, Grant became the quintessential leading man for romantic comedies like Four Weddings and A Funeral and Notting Hill. His boyish good looks and stammering wit made audiences fall head over heels, cementing him as one of the most beloved actors of the decade. Behind the polished, swoon-worthy on-screen persona was someone who took a much more casual approach to personal hygiene. Grant was famously laid back, and his grooming habits reflected that relaxed vibe. Reports from various sets suggest that his disheveled appearance wasn't always a costume. It was just Hugh being Hugh. Wrinkled clothes, messy hair, and a noticeable lack of freshening up were common features of his off-screen style. Crew members on films like 9 Months and Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason often joked about his au naturel approach to cleanliness. One recurring quirk? Grant would show up to set in the same clothes he wore the day before, looking suspiciously like he'd rolled straight out of bed. Showers and hairbrushes didn't seem to make it into his morning routine very often. And while some co-stars may have politely avoided commenting, crew members weren't shy about noticing his laissez-faire attitude toward grooming. Despite his sometimes questionable hygiene, Grant's charm always won people over. His imperfections made him relatable, and his self-deprecating humor disarmed even his toughest critics. In an industry obsessed with perfect looks and carefully curated images, Grant's carefree demeanor felt refreshingly authentic. However, his relaxed habits weren't without their challenges. Rumors of skipped showers and unbrushed teeth occasionally led to whispers among those who worked closely with him. But for Grant, it was just part of who he was. He wasn't interested in conforming to Hollywood's obsession with flawless appearances. In the end, Grant's laid-back hygiene habits never slowed him down. His on-screen magic kept audiences hooked, and his ability to make people laugh and swoon secured his spot as one of Hollywood's most beloved actors. Even if he didn't always smell like roses, Hugh Grant's charm was enough to carry him through. Speaking of actors who broke the mold and rewrote the rules, few names come to mind as quickly as Johnny Depp. When Depp swaggered onto the screen as Captain Jack Sparrow, he wasn't just playing a pirate, he was redefining one. With his slurred speech, off-kilter humor, and wildly unpredictable energy, Sparrow became one of the most iconic characters of the 2000s. Depp's performance turned a quirky supporting role into the centerpiece of Pirates of the Caribbean, skyrocketing his career to new heights. Behind the scenes, Depp's habits veered far from Hollywood's glossy standards. His reputation for skipping showers and rocking a lived-in look followed him everywhere. Turns out, Depp wasn't just unconventional in his acting. His grooming routines, or lack thereof, became part of the story too. From the sets of Pirates of the Caribbean to Finding Neverland, reports often mentioned Depp's disheveled appearance. Co-stars and crew knew he wasn't one to fuss over his reflection. Depp openly admitted to going weeks without a proper shower. It wasn't a statement or rebellion, just Depp being Depp. He preferred to focus on his craft rather than what shampoo to use. His unkempt look seemed to bleed into his roles, adding a raw authenticity that fans adored. Not everyone found it charming, though. Orlando Bloom, Depp's Pirates co-star, joked that Depp's scent took some getting used to. Crew members whispered about his lingering body odor, a kind of ode to Depp that stuck around long after he left. Still, most shrugged it off as part of his quirky charm. In a world obsessed with appearances, Depp's unapologetic attitude felt refreshingly real to many. For Depp, this carefree approach wasn't just about hygiene. It was part of his larger rebellion against Hollywood norms. He built a career on playing characters that didn't fit the mold, and his off-screen persona followed suit. Depp wasn't trying to be a heartthrob or a polished leading man. He wanted to be an artist, and his odd habits became as much a part of his mystique as his roles. Ironically, Depp has been the face of Dior Sauvage since 2015, fronting ad campaigns for the fragrance line that includes eau de toilette, parfum, aftershave lotion, and deodorant. Somehow, the contrast only adds to his mystique. Depp was and remains in a league of his own, unpolished, unpredictable, and undeniably captivating. And when it comes to unpredictability, few actors rival Nicolas Cage. Known for his intense performances and outlandish choices, Cage has carved out a space in Hollywood that's entirely his own. From stealing the Declaration of Independence in National Treasure to unleashing unbridled chaos in Mandy, his larger-than-life energy makes him a perfect fit for roles that demand eccentricity. But Cage's intensity isn't limited to the screen. It spills over into his personal life, including his grooming habits. Stories from film sets paint a picture of an actor who throws himself so fully into his roles that personal upkeep often takes a back seat. Whether it's skipping showers or embracing an unkempt aesthetic, Cage's offbeat approach to life has left co-stars and crew with memorable anecdotes about his, let's say, earthy presence. Cage himself has admitted that he cares more about his craft than his appearance. Grooming, he said, simply isn't a priority when he's diving into a role. His off-screen look often mirrored the chaos of his characters: rumpled clothes, unkempt hair, and a general air of dishevelment. During the filming of Ghost Rider, reports of Cage's body odor made their way around the set, with some crew members noticeably uncomfortable. For Cage, this wasn't about making a statement. It was just who he was, someone so focused on his work that everything else fell by the wayside. Even on the set of National Treasure, Cage's hygiene habits became an inside joke. He'd often show up in the same outfit he'd worn the day before, hair looking like it hadn't seen a comb in weeks. Co-stars joked about his wild appearance, but it was all in good fun. For most, this was just another layer of Cage's unpredictable charm. His messy aesthetic only added to his mystique, making him seem more like a mad genius than a polished leading man. Despite the jokes and occasional grumbles, Cage's talent always took center stage. His ability to bring raw emotion and complexity to every role outweighed any complaints about his grooming. Fans and critics were more interested in his acting than his hygiene. In fact, his unpolished demeanor became part of his brand, an extension of his unpredictable, no-holds-barred approach to both life and work. And speaking of stars who embrace their natural selves, Matthew McConaughey takes the concept to a whole new level. Rising to fame in the late 1990s and early 2000s, McConaughey became the epitome of cool with roles in films like Dazed and Confused and The Wedding Planner. His breezy confidence and southern charm made him a household name, winning over audiences with his easygoing, relatable appeal. But McConaughey's relaxed vibe didn't stop at his public persona. It spilled over into his personal life, particularly his approach to hygiene. On the sets of films like Magic Mike and The Lincoln Lawyer, whispers began circulating about McConaughey's unconventional grooming habits. He openly admitted he didn't see the point of daily showers, preferring to embrace his body's natural scent. In interviews, McConaughey was unapologetic about his approach, often laughing off questions about his hygiene. "I smell like the beach," he quipped in one interview, as if his salty, sweaty aroma was all part of the package. Not everyone shared his enthusiasm for going natural. Co-stars occasionally commented on the challenges of working in close quarters with him during long filming days. One even hinted that McConaughey's natural musk made intimate scenes a little too memorable, but McConaughey brushed off the critiques, sticking to his laid-back, go-with-the-flow philosophy. To him, it was just another way of staying true to himself. Despite the occasional grumbles from those who had to endure his earthy aroma, McConaughey's career didn't miss a beat. His charisma and undeniable talent kept audiences hooked. Whether playing a smooth-talking lawyer or a dreamy rom-com lead, he continued to charm his way into fans' hearts. His relaxed, beachy persona only added to his appeal, solidifying his image as Hollywood's ultimate free spirit. In many ways, McConaughey's disregard for traditional grooming became part of his mystique. Fans saw him as the guy who didn't sweat the small stuff, literally. His unpolished approach to life set him apart in an industry obsessed with perfection, making him one of the most relatable and adored stars of his generation. For McConaughey, staying true to himself always came first, even if it meant skipping a shower or two. And while McConaughey leaned into his laid-back charm, Gerard Butler took ruggedness to a whole new level, rising to international fame with his iconic role as King Leonidas in 300. Butler became synonymous with tough guy grit and fearless intensity. His chiseled physique and commanding presence on screen were a direct result of intense training regimens that pushed him to the limits. But all that sweat and determination didn't always lead to a post-workout shower. On the set of 300 and Olympus Has Fallen, Butler's dedication to physical training often came at a cost, mainly to those around him. After grueling workouts and hours of filming battle scenes, Butler was known for skipping showers. Crew members joked about his lingering body odor, but it became part of the raw and real vibe he brought to his roles. While some actors would freshen up after a tough day, Butler seemed unbothered. For him, staying focused on his work mattered more than smelling fresh. One story from 300 stands out. After an intense training session, Butler would head straight to set without bothering to clean up. His scent, described by some as noticeable, filled the room. Instead of being embarrassed, Butler owned it. He embraced his gritty, unpolished persona and seemed to enjoy the jokes at his expense. His attitude fit the Spartan warrior image he was portraying, rugged, raw, and unapologetically intense. Not everyone on set was thrilled, of course. Some co-stars found his habits hard to deal with, especially in close quarters. But for fans, These quirks only added to his appeal. Butler's rugged, no-nonsense image resonated with audiences, and his performances overshadowed any off-screen complaints. Interestingly, despite his rugged persona, Gerard Butler has admitted to being terrified of shaking hands. After walking the red carpet, he often makes a beeline for the nearest bathroom to wash up, worried about catching germs. Butler's rough-around-the-edges charm kept him landing major roles, solidifying his place as one of Hollywood's favorite action stars. His refusal to conform made him stand out, and for many that raw energy was part of what made him unforgettable.
Giovanni Jackson, Daddy's Girl.
Hollywood's brightest stars often leave us starstruck, but some leave us holding our noses instead. James Dean, the 1950s brooding heartthrob, did both. Sure, he made hearts race, but he also made nostrils flare with his signature Eau de Rebelle. Dean's hygiene habits were as unconventional as his acting style. He was known for his intense method acting, refusing to break character, even when the cameras weren't rolling. This dedication didn't just stop with his acting, it stretched to how he looked and smelled. Dean would wear the same clothes for days. He thought it helped him stay in character. On the set of East of Eden, his co-star Julie Harris said, "Jimmy had a wonderful, natural body smell. It was clean, but it was definite." Charming to some, sure, but not everyone was into Dean's natural musk. While filming Rebel Without a Cause, director Nicolas had to politely ask Dean to hit the showers more often. Apparently, his aroma was becoming a bit too distracting. But the scent issues didn't stop there. Dean was a heavy smoker, often chain-smoking unfiltered cigarettes. Combine that with his love of coffee, and you've got breath that could take down a bull. His smoky, coffee-soaked exhalations were infamous. Co-stars dreaded doing intimate scenes with him, overwhelmed by his breath. Makeup artists? They had their work cut out trying to freshen him up for close-ups. Let's just say, his habits left their mark. Interestingly, despite the smell, Dean's rebellious charm still had a way of captivating those around him. His offbeat persona, coupled with his intensity, created a mystique that only heightened his allure on screen. Despite all of this, Dean's talent and magnetic screen presence were undeniable. His tragic death at 24 only added to his mystique, securing his place as a cultural icon. While James Dean's scent may have faded into history, the world of pop music has its own olfactory offenders. Britney Spears, the Princess of Pop, has been making headlines for years with her chart-topping hits. But behind the scenes, she's hit a few sour notes in the hygiene department. Rumors about Spears' not-so-fresh scent have been swirling for years. Former bodyguards, housekeepers, and even fellow celebrities have spilled the tea, or should we say, held their noses. One ex-bodyguard claimed that Spears would often go days without showering or brushing her teeth. Apparently, her odor could clear a room faster than one of her high-energy dance routines. But it's not just basic hygiene that's been a challenge. Spears has a well-known love for cigarettes and fast food. This combo has reportedly left her breath smelling less than fresh. During her time as a judge on The X Factor, it was rumored that producers kept mints and mouthwash on standby. Her exhalations were apparently a bit too potent for comfort. Her eating habits haven't helped either. Spears loves tuna and often eats multiple cans a day. Great for omega-3s, sure, but not so great for body odor. One former assistant even claimed that Spears' dressing room smelled like fish long after she'd left. A lingering scent, indeed. There were even reports that Spears would walk barefoot in public restrooms, causing further concerns about her hygiene practices. These instances added to the public fascination with her offstage lifestyle. Despite these little hygiene hiccups, Spears remains a pop culture icon. Fans seem willing to overlook, or maybe hold their noses through, any olfactory mishaps. They're here for the music, after all. And let's face it, when you're belting out "Oh, baby one more time" at the top of your lungs, who's really noticing a little body odor? While Britney's fishy fragrance might turn some stomachs, it's nothing compared to the pungent aroma that defined the grunge scene of the 90s. Kurt Cobain, the iconic frontman of Nirvana, wasn't just known for his raw talent and haunting lyrics. He was also famous for his potent personal aroma. Cobain's hygiene struggles were well documented throughout his tragically short career. Battling depression and drug addiction, The singer often went days or even weeks without bathing. His long, greasy hair and unwashed clothes became as much a part of his image as his raspy voice and distorted guitar riffs. But it wasn't just the lack of showers. Cobain was a heavy smoker, constantly chain-smoking during interviews and backstage. Mix that with his love for strong cheeses and his ongoing stomach problems, and you've got a breath that could peel paint off walls. One interviewer even described talking to Cobain as like being downwind of a landfill on a hot day. His bandmates and crew members weren't shy about mentioning his scent either. Dave Grohl, Nirvana's drummer, once joked that you could always find Kurt's hotel room by following your nose. His unwashed clothes and body were infamous. Despite this, those who knew him well saw beyond the smell. They described Cobain as a gentle, caring soul, with his personal struggles often showing up in his lack of self-care. His hygiene, or lack thereof, was just another reflection of his inner turmoil. The grunge movement itself seemed to embrace Cobain's unkempt look. Grunge was all about rejecting mainstream polish, and Cobain's lack of personal hygiene fit the bill perfectly. For his fans, his disregard for showers was like a middle finger to societal norms, aligning with the angst and alienation his music captured. In Kurt's case, the nose-wrinkling stench of teen spirit was just part of the package. And really, could you even imagine him any other way? Moving from the gritty streets of Seattle to the bustling film sets of Hong Kong, Jackie Chan may be known for his death-defying stunts and impeccable comic timing, but off-screen, he's been fighting a different battle against body odor. Chan's hygiene issues have been an open secret in Hollywood for years. Known for doing his own stunts, the action star works up quite the sweat, but according to co-stars and crew, his post-stunt aroma goes way beyond your average locker room funk. One of his frequent collaborators, Chris Tucker, has even joked about it. During the filming of the Rush Hour series, Tucker would often improvise lines about his character's sensitivity to smells, a not-so-subtle nod to Chan's real-life odor issues. In one hilarious outtake, Tucker quipped, "Rush Hour, more like rush to the shower." It wasn't just Rush Hour that suffered through Chan's natural musk. Some crew members from other films have reported that even after long hours on set, Chan would sometimes skip a post-shoot wash. His dedication to getting the perfect take seemed to extend to skipping personal maintenance. Several insiders have mentioned that after particularly grueling scenes, the smell of sweat and dirt would linger on him long after filming had wrapped. But it's not just the sweat that's been raising eyebrows. Chan has a well-known love for durian, the infamously stinky fruit banned in many public places. Between takes, Chan would snack on it, leaving his co-stars and crew grimacing. One director reportedly had to implement a no-durian policy on set after receiving complaints about the fruit's overpowering smell lingering in the air. Despite his olfactory offenses, Chan remains one of the most beloved figures in action cinema. His charm, talent, and fearless approach to filmmaking seem to overshadow any concerns about his personal scent. Some even say that Chan's earthy aroma adds to his everyman appeal, making him seem more relatable than his polished Hollywood peers. Chan, always the comedian, has addressed the rumors with humor. In one interview, he joked, "I'm not smelly, I'm just very natural. It's all part of the Jackie Chan experience." Whether that's an experience fans are keen to have up close is another question entirely. While Chan's natural musk might be considered charming by some, our next star's hygiene issues were anything but. Michael Jackson, the undisputed king of pop, was known for his groundbreaking music and electrifying performances. But behind the scenes, it seems the Thriller star was battling some not-so-thrilling hygiene problems. Jackson's struggles with personal hygiene reportedly started in the late 1980s, as his fame soared to new heights. Those close to him began noticing a decline in his grooming habits. He would often wear the same clothes for days. His signature sequined glove, once a bold fashion statement, became a cover-up for his unwashed hands. But it wasn't just body odor that raised eyebrows. Jackson's breath was said to be particularly potent. His poor dental hygiene, combined with his unusual diet of candy and sugary drinks, didn't help matters. Rarely brushing his teeth, Jackson's breath was once described by a former staff member as strong enough to knock a buzzard off a gut wagon. Not exactly the kind of sweet sensation you'd expect from the king of pop. His aversion to bathing became more noticeable as his career went on. During the filming of his Ghosts short film in 1996, director Stan Winston reportedly had to beg Jackson to shower. The cramped set wasn't doing anyone any favors as his odor started to take center stage. Makeup artists dreaded working close to him, often resorting to breathing through their mouths just to get through the day. But it wasn't just Jackson's person that had issues. Neverland Ranch, once a magical wonderland, started to show signs of neglect. Visitors reported a strong stench of animal waste from his exotic pets, mixed with the musty odor of unwashed clothes and bedding. It seemed his fairy tale paradise wasn't as spotless as fans imagined. Despite all these olfactory offenses, Jackson's star power and talent never dimmed. Fans were more than willing to overlook or hold their noses through any hygiene mishaps, choosing to focus on his undeniable genius. Some believe Jackson's deteriorating personal habits were a reflection of the immense pressure he faced, a physical manifestation of his inner struggles. Speaking of musical geniuses with questionable hygiene, Christina Aguilera, the pint-sized powerhouse with pipes of steel, has been hitting some sour notes in the hygiene department. Rumors about Aguilera's scent have been floating around for years. Despite her polished appearance on stage, the reality behind the scenes seems quite different. Those who've worked closely with her paint a less glamorous picture. One former assistant described her natural aroma as a mix of hot dogs and diaper rash. Not exactly what you'd expect from a pop diva, but it's not just body odor that's causing a stir. Aguilera's breath has also been a hot topic. She's a self-professed foodie who loves strong-smelling foods like garlic, onions, and blue cheese. Combine that with her chain-smoking habit, and you've got a breath that could knock a vulture off a gut wagon. During her time as a judge on The Voice, her co-stars weren't exactly lining up to get close. Adam Levine once joked, "Christina doesn't smell bad, she just smells like a dog that needs to be bathed." Though meant as a joke, it only fueled the rumors about her hygiene habits. Aguilera's tour days were reportedly just as smelly. Some crew members noted that her dressing rooms often had an unusual, lingering scent, a mix of sweat and her favorite snacks. It was also said that her costumes, especially those worn for high-energy performances, weren't always sent to be cleaned right away. The buildup of odors from constant performances became impossible to ignore. Still, Aguilera's talent shines through. Her powerful voice and undeniable stage presence seem to overpower any concerns about her scent. In fact, some fans argue her earthy aroma is just part of her raw, unfiltered persona. It sets her apart from the overly polished pop stars of today. It's all part of her charm, or so her fans say. And if Christina's scent is raw and unfiltered, Lady Gaga takes au naturel to a whole new level. The avant-garde artist, famous for her wild outfits and boundary-pushing performances, has reportedly been turning stomachs as well as heads with her unique scent. Gaga's hygiene issues first surfaced in her early fame days. Known for grueling performances and elaborate costumes, she would sometimes go days without showering while on tour. One former assistant even claimed that Gaga would wear the same underwear for days, leading to an odor that could only be described as gag-worthy. But it's not just sweat and unwashed clothes that contribute to Gaga's funky fragrance. She's also known for her love of raw meat. Who could forget the infamous meat dress she wore to the 2010 MTV Video Music Awards? While the dress was eventually preserved and turned into beef jerky, her fondness for carnivorous couture left a lasting impression, quite literally, on those around her. The smell of the dress lingered long after the event, making people wonder if Gaga had embraced the concept of meat perfume. During the filming of American Horror Story, Hotel, where Gaga played a vampire countess, her co-stars weren't thrilled with her method acting. Set insiders reported that Gaga insisted on drinking small amounts of blood, allegedly pig's blood, to get into character. This, combined with her questionable hygiene habits, led to a breath that could curdle milk from across the room. Her commitment to her role, though impressive, was not exactly nose-friendly for the cast and crew. Despite all these olfactory offenses, Gaga's talent and creativity continue to dazzle audiences. Her loyal fans, affectionately known as Little Monsters, seem more than willing to hold their noses in exchange for her artistry. After all, in Lady Gaga's world, a little stink is just part of the performance. While Gaga's odor might be described as monstrous, Andre the Giant, the legendary wrestler of the 1970s and 80s, was known not only for his immense size and strength, but also for his overwhelming body odor. Standing at 7 feet 4 inches and weighing over 500 pounds, Andre's hygiene issues were as outsized as his frame. His gigantism, a condition that caused his body to produce excess growth hormone, was partly to blame. This condition led to excessive sweating. Combined with his massive size, staying fresh was almost impossible. Andre's fellow wrestlers often mentioned the difficulty of grappling with the giant, not just because of his strength, but also due to his potent aroma. Jake the Snake Roberts once joked, "Andre's smell was so bad it could have knocked a buzzard off a HDT wagon." Locker rooms that Andre frequented reportedly needed serious airing out once he left. But it wasn't just sweat causing Andre's notorious stench. The man had a legendary appetite and an even bigger love for alcohol. It was said that Andre could drink over 100 beers in one sitting. This led to a constant state of alcohol-induced sweat. His diet didn't help either. Heavy on protein and low on fresh fruits and veggies, his meals often left him with an unmistakable odor. Despite his odorous reputation, Andre remained one of the most beloved figures in professional wrestling. His gentle nature, despite his size, endeared him to fans and fellow wrestlers. In many ways, his pungent aroma just became part of his larger-than-life persona. Whether in the ring or out, it was all part of the Andre the Giant experience. Out of the wrestling ring and into the world of pop, Jessica Simpson made headlines not just for her newlyweds antics, but also for her less-than-fresh approach to oral hygiene. In a 2010 appearance on The Ellen DeGeneres Show, Simpson proudly admitted she only brushed her teeth maybe 3 times a week. Her reasoning, "My teeth are so white and I don't like them to feel too slippery, but I do use Listerine and floss every day," she explained, "but I don't brush them every day." This revelation shocked the dental community and left fans questioning how close they really wanted to get to the star. Simpson's confession even risked her endorsement deals. At the time, she was the face of Pizza Hut, but the fast food chain reportedly reconsidered keeping her as a spokesperson after her dental hygiene admission. But it's not just her teeth that have raised eyebrows. Simpson has been known to go extended periods without showering, particularly during her reality TV days. In one infamous Newlyweds episode, Simpson declared, "I don't like to shower, I just like to feel dirty," much to the annoyance of her then-husband, Nick Lackey. Despite these hygiene hiccups, Simpson remains a pop culture icon and a wildly successful businesswoman. Her billion-dollar fashion empire proves that a little funk doesn't necessarily mean a financial flop. In fact, it seems her laid-back, real persona only helped endear her more to fans. While Simpson's hygiene habits may raise eyebrows, Jared Leto's commitment to method acting took things to a whole new level of funk. The Oscar-winning actor, known for his intense dedication, pushed the boundaries of personal hygiene for his role as the Joker in Suicide Squad. Leto's approach to playing the Batman villain was extreme. He went beyond the usual preparations, deciding that the Joker wouldn't care much about cleanliness. During production, Leto reportedly went weeks without bathing. He even rolled around in dirt and rubbed garbage on himself to achieve the perfect Joker stench. The result? An odor so intense it left castmates gagging. Viola Davis, one of his co-stars, recalled the first time she encountered Leto in character. "The stench of him was just unbearable," she said. "It was really bad. A mix of body odor, cigarettes, and some sort of cologne that I think he thought the Joker would wear. The smell was so strong, it lingered long after he'd left the room." But Leto didn't stop at body odor. He decided the Joker would have terrible oral hygiene, too. To achieve this, Leto allegedly stopped brushing his teeth. He even gargled with mouthwash meant to make his breath worse and chewed on foul-smelling herbs to enhance the effect. The result? An aroma so potent, crew members could smell him coming from across the set. Margot Robbie, who played Harley Quinn, had to brace herself before filming intimate scenes with Leto. She joked in an interview, "I thought I was ready for anything, but that smell? It was like acting opposite a dumpster fire." Despite the smell, Leto's castmates couldn't help but grudgingly admire his commitment. Will Smith, who played Deadshot, said, "I've never actually met Jared Leto. I've only ever met the Joker." Whether that was praise or a reflection of everyone's desire to keep their distance is up for debate. Even the director, David Ayer, had to step in at one point. He asked Leto to tone down the stench as it was affecting the crew's ability to work. Leto reportedly compromised by using deodorant, but only if it was a brand he felt the Joker would use. Something toxic and chemical smelling, of course. Now, if you catch a waft of something less than pleasant, remember, it might just be the scent of stardom. Sometimes Hollywood just plain stinks. Joan Fontaine's infrequent bathing, Spencer Tracy's overpowering body odor, and Veronica Lake's refusal to wash her hair regularly are just the beginning. Discover the untold stories of these glamorous stars whose notorious hygiene habits will leave you speechless. Buckle up as we reveal the smelly truth behind Hollywood's golden era, Joan Fontaine. As an Oscar-winning actress, she is remembered for her roles in classics like Rebecca and Suspicion. Despite her on-screen elegance, those who worked closely with her knew of her less-than-glamorous personal hygiene habits. Fontaine was known for infrequent bathing, which led to a noticeable body odor that co-stars and crew couldn't ignore. In her autobiography, No Bed of Roses, Fontaine admitted to disliking the Hollywood studio system and its demands. Her rebellion against the system extended to her personal habits. Fontaine's co-star in Rebecca, Laurence Olivier, reportedly found working with her challenging due to her hygiene. On the set of Suspicion, Alfred Hitchcock, known for his meticulous attention to detail, allegedly had to address Fontaine's hygiene indirectly. Hitchcock, who directed Fontaine to her Oscar-winning performance, was famous for his subtle, sometimes harsh methods to elicit the best performances. Crew members recalled how he would ensure fresh air on set and discreetly place scented items around the filming area. Fontaine's personal letters also reveal her indifference to frequent bathing. In correspondence with her sister, Olivia de Havilland, there are mentions of her preference for natural scents. The two sisters had a famously tumultuous relationship, and Olivia would sometimes mock Joan's habits in their letters. The actress's hygiene became a topic of discussion among Hollywood insiders. Director George Cukor, who worked with Fontaine on The Women, noted that she often came to the set without having showered. Cukor's assistant recalled how the crew would sometimes spray perfume around her to mask the odor. Despite her hygiene issues, Fontaine maintained her reputation as a talented actress. Her dedication to her craft was undeniable, and she delivered performances that captivated audiences. However, behind the scenes, her personal habits created a different narrative. Fontaine's hygiene was not just a personal quirk, it became part of her Hollywood legacy, whispered about in dressing rooms and on film sets. Fontaine's reluctance to bathe regularly might have stemmed from her belief in natural living. She once told a friend that she thought frequent bathing stripped the body of its natural oils and scents. This belief was not uncommon among some celebrities of her time, who often adopted unconventional lifestyles and habits. In interviews later in life, Fontaine rarely addressed the rumors about her hygiene. When asked about her personal habits, she would deflect with charm and wit, much like the characters she portrayed on screen. Her fans remained enamored with her, largely unaware of the behind-the-scenes stories. Montgomery Clift. He was one of Hollywood's most talented and handsome actors. Starring in classics like A Place in the Sun and From Here to Eternity, Clift was admired for his method acting and intense performances. However, his personal life was plagued by struggles that extended to his hygiene, earning him a notorious reputation. Clift's hygiene issues were closely linked to his tumultuous personal life. He battled substance abuse, which significantly impacted his daily habits. His dependence on alcohol and prescription drugs often left him neglecting basic hygiene. Co-stars and friends noted his strong body odor, unkempt appearance, and lack of grooming. Elizabeth Taylor, Clift's close friend and frequent co-star, often tried to help him maintain his hygiene. Despite her efforts, Taylor remarked in private conversations that Clift's personal struggles made it difficult for him to care for himself. Taylor once said, "Monty was a beautiful soul, but sometimes he just didn't care about the way he smelled or looked." Clift's personal assistant during the filming of The Misfits recalled how the actor would go days without bathing. The assistant often had to encourage Clift to clean up before shoots. Crew members on the set would sometimes leave deodorant and fresh clothes in his trailer, hoping he would use them. On the set of Suddenly last summer, director Joseph L. Mankiewicz had to address Clift's hygiene directly. Mankiewicz, known for his attention to detail, reportedly asked Clift to shower before coming to the set, citing complaints from other cast members. Clift's co-star, Katharine Hepburn, was particularly vocal about the issue, though she remained supportive of his talent. Despite these problems, Clift's performances never suffered. He continued to deliver powerful, emotionally charged roles. His ability to compartmentalize his personal struggles from his professional work was remarkable. However, those close to him knew that his off-screen life was far from glamorous. In his later years, Clift's hygiene issues worsened. His health declined rapidly after a near-fatal car accident in 1956. The accident left him with severe injuries, which he treated with heavy doses of painkillers and alcohol. This exacerbated his neglect of personal hygiene. Clift's friends and family often intervened, trying to help him manage his habits. His brother, Brooks Clift, once mentioned in an interview that Montgomery's hygiene was a constant concern. Brooks would sometimes visit his brother and find him in a state of disarray, urging him to clean up. Despite the efforts of those around him, Clift's hygiene remained an issue until his death in 1966. Vivien Leigh. Known for her iconic roles in Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, she was one of Hollywood's most captivating actresses. Her beauty and talent earned her immense fame. But behind the scenes, Leigh struggled with severe mental health issues that affected her personal hygiene. Leigh was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which often left her in states of extreme emotional turmoil. Her condition, coupled with a hectic career, contributed to her neglect of personal hygiene. Colleagues and friends noted that during her manic episodes, Leigh would go days without bathing or changing clothes. Laurence Olivier, Leighy's husband and fellow actor, was one of the few who understood the full extent of her struggles. Olivier once confided to a friend, "Vivien's illness is a torment for her, and it shows in ways people wouldn't expect, like her hygiene." Despite his efforts to help her, Leigh's mental state often made it difficult for her to maintain regular hygiene routines. On the set of Gone with the Wind, director Victor Fleming and the crew had to deal with Leigh's unpredictable behavior and hygiene issues. Clark Gable, her co-star, reportedly complained about her strong body odor during close scenes. Gable's complaints were discreetly addressed by the production team, who tried to manage the situation without causing Leigh further distress. Leigh's personal assistant during the filming of A Streetcar Named Desire recalled how the actress would sometimes arrive on set unwashed and in the same clothes from the previous day. The assistant often had to gently remind her to freshen up before filming, a task made difficult by Leigh's volatile moods. Leigh's friends in the theater community also witnessed her struggles. During a stage production of Antony and Cleopatra, her co-star, Michael Redgrave, noted her erratic behavior and poor hygiene. Redgrave later wrote in his memoirs, "Vivien's brilliance on stage was undeniable, but off stage, she battled with demons that no one could see." In her later years, Leigh's hygiene issues became more pronounced as her mental health deteriorated. Her close friend and biographer, Ann Edwards, documented how Leigh's condition led to severe neglect of personal care. Edwards described visiting Leigh and finding her in a disheveled state, with strong body odor and unkempt hair. Leigh's hygiene problems were not a reflection of laziness, but a symptom of her severe mental health struggles. Her battle with bipolar disorder overshadowed many aspects of her life, including her ability to care for herself. Spencer Tracy. Being a two-time Academy Award-winning actor, he was celebrated for his powerful performances and natural acting style. Starring in classics like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and Captain's Courageous, Tracy was a giant of Hollywood's golden age. However, behind his on-screen charm and talent, Tracy was known for his poor personal hygiene, which stemmed from his struggles with alcoholism. Tracy's drinking problems were well documented and often affected his professional life. His addiction led to erratic behavior and neglect of personal care. Co-stars and crew members frequently commented on his strong body odor, unkempt appearance, and stained clothes. Katharine Hepburn, Tracy's longtime partner and co-star in numerous films, often tried to help him manage his hygiene, but her efforts were not always successful. On the set of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, director Stanley Kramer faced challenges due to Tracy's hygiene. Kramer later recalled in interviews how Tracy's drinking exacerbated his hygiene issues, making it difficult for the actor to maintain regular cleanliness. Despite this, Tracy's talent shone through, and he delivered a memorable performance that earned critical acclaim. Co-star Sidney Poitier admired Tracy's acting, but noted the hygiene issues. In his autobiography, Poitier mentioned, "Spencer was an incredible actor, but there were times when it was hard to ignore his strong smell and disheveled look." Poitier's comments reflected the general sentiment among those who worked closely with Tracy. Tracy's personal assistant during the filming of Adam's Rib also recalled instances of his poor hygiene. The assistant described how Tracy would often arrive on set without having bathed, with noticeable body odor. Crew members would discreetly place fresh clothes and hygiene products in his dressing room, hoping he would use them before shooting. Tracy's drinking problem was not a secret in Hollywood. Friends and colleagues frequently intervened, trying to help him overcome his addiction. Actor and close friend Clark Gable once commented on Tracy's hygiene, saying, "Spence was a great friend, but his drinking made him careless about how he looked and smelled." In his later years, Tracy's health declined due to his alcoholism, further worsening his hygiene. Hepburn often took care of him, ensuring he maintained some semblance of personal care. Despite her efforts, Tracy's condition made it challenging to uphold consistent hygiene. Veronica Lake. As an actress famed for her iconic peekaboo hairstyle and roles in films like Sullivan's Travels and This Gun for Hire, she was one of Hollywood's most glamorous stars. Behind her captivating on-screen presence, Lake harbored a reputation for poor personal hygiene, particularly her reluctance to wash her hair regularly. Lake's trademark hairstyle, which covered one eye, became a significant part of her persona. However, maintaining that look required a lot of upkeep, and Lake often neglected regular washing. Her co-stars and crew members noticed this and frequently commented on the strong odor from her hair. It was said that she would sometimes go days, if not weeks, without properly washing it. Alan Ladd, her co-star in several films, reportedly struggled with the close contact scenes due to the smell. In a private conversation with a crew member, Ladd allegedly remarked, "Veronica's talent is undeniable, but working so close to her can be tough with that smell." On the set of I Married a Witch, director René Clair had to delicately handle Lake's hygiene. Clair, known for his tactful approach, ensured that hair and makeup artists attended to her regularly, trying to mask the odor with perfumes and hair treatments. Despite their efforts, the problem persisted, and it became a running issue among the crew. Lake's personal life was fraught with difficulties that contributed to her hygiene issues. She struggled with alcoholism and mental health problems, which affected her ability to maintain a regular self-care routine. Her frequent binges left her in states where personal hygiene was the last thing on her mind. Her biographer, Jeff Lenberg, noted in his book Peekaboo, The Story of Veronica Lake, that her hygiene became increasingly problematic as her addiction worsened. During the filming of The Blue Dahlia, Lake's hygiene issues became more apparent. Co-star William Bendix found it challenging to perform romantic scenes with her due to her unwashed hair and body odor. Others shared Bendix's discomfort on set, who often found creative ways to avoid getting too close. Lake's hygiene was not just limited to her hair. Reports from her housekeepers and assistants indicated that she often neglected bathing altogether. One assistant recalled that Lake would sometimes wear the same clothes for several days, contributing to a noticeable smell. Despite this, her charisma and beauty often overshadowed these issues in the public eye. Cary Grant. As one of Hollywood's most charismatic and beloved actors, he is remembered for his roles in classics such as North by Northwest and To Catch a Thief. Known for his suave demeanor and impeccable style, Grant's off-screen habits presented a stark contrast to his on-screen image. Despite his polished appearance, he was infamous for his minimal use of deodorant and his preference for a more natural body scent, which sometimes led to noticeable body odor. Grant's hygiene habits were partly influenced by his personal beliefs. He was known to be quite health-conscious and believed in natural living. This belief extended to his grooming practices, where he avoided the use of artificial products, including deodorants. On the set of North by Northwest, director Alfred Hitchcock, who was known for his meticulous attention to detail, had to discreetly address Grant's body odor. Hitchcock's assistant recalled that the director would ensure the set was well ventilated and would occasionally suggest a break for fresh air, indirectly hinting at the need for Grant to freshen up. Co-star Eva Marie Saint, who worked closely with Grant, commented in her memoirs about his natural scent, noting, "Carey was a wonderful actor and a gentleman, but his preference for natural grooming was evident." Grant's personal assistant during the filming of To Catch a Thief shared anecdotes about his hygiene habits. The assistant revealed that Grant would often refuse to use the colognes and deodorants provided by the studio, insisting on his own natural regimen. Crew members would sometimes place scented items in his dressing room, hoping to mask the odor. Despite these issues, Grant's charm and professionalism ensured that his hygiene habits did not significantly affect his career. However, those who worked closely with him were well aware of his peculiar grooming practices. Director Stanley Donen, who worked with Grant on Charade, once joked in an interview, "Carey was the epitome of elegance on screen, but off-screen, he was quite the naturalist." Grant's preference for natural grooming was consistent throughout his life. His ex-wife, actress Diane Cannon, mentioned in her autobiography that Grant's hygiene habits were one of the many quirks that made him unique. Cannon mentioned that Carey prioritized health and natural living, asserting that the body could regulate itself without the need for artificial products. Friends and colleagues often respected Grant's choices even if they found them unusual. His close friend and fellow actor James Stewart remarked in a letter, "Carey was always true to himself. Even if it meant smelling a bit ripe at times, he believed in living naturally, and that was part of his charm." Grant's hygiene habits sometimes caused discomfort during intimate scenes. Deborah Kerr, his co-star in An Affair to Remember, reportedly found it challenging to perform romantic scenes due to his natural scent. Despite this, Kerr and Grant maintained a professional relationship, and she often praised his acting skills and professionalism in public interviews. During the filming of Houseboat with Sophia Loren, the Italian actress also noticed Grant's preference for natural grooming. Loren, who was known for her own meticulous personal care, found it surprising but endearing. She mentioned in an interview, "Carey was very much his own man. His natural approach was different, but it was part of what made him unique." Grant's commitment to natural living sometimes led to humorous situations on set. During the filming of Bringing Up Baby, Katharine Hepburn, known for her straightforward personality, once playfully confronted him about his smell. Hepburn, always direct, teased Grant about his lack of deodorant, to which he responded with his characteristic wit, making light of the situation and diffusing any tension. Mae West. As an iconic actress known for her witty one-liners and bold persona, she was one of Hollywood's most unforgettable stars. With roles in films like She Done Him Wrong and I'm No Angel, West's career was marked by her brazen confidence and larger-than-life character. However, behind the scenes, she was infamous for her personal hygiene habits, particularly her aversion to regular bathing. West's hygiene issues were well known among her colleagues. She believed that frequent bathing was unnecessary and even unhealthy. In her autobiography, Goodness Had Nothing to Do with It, West candidly discussed her views on hygiene, stating, "I believe in natural living, and that means not stripping away the body's natural oils with too much washing." Her belief that bathing too often could harm her skin and health led her to bathe infrequently, a habit that was starkly at odds with the image of the glamorous star she portrayed on screen. Co-stars and crew members frequently commented on West's strong body odor. Director Lowell Sherman, who worked with her on She Done Him Wrong, recalled the challenges of maintaining a fresh environment on set. The strong scent often permeated her dressing room, and the crew took to airing it out regularly to make it more bearable. West's personal assistant during the filming of I'm No Angel shared stories about her hygiene routines. The assistant noted that West would often go days without bathing, relying on heavy perfumes to mask any odors. Despite this, her commanding presence and charisma often overshadowed these issues. West would douse herself in her favorite fragrances, such as Taboo by Dana, to cover up any unpleasant smells, a practice that only partially mitigated the issue. West's hygiene habits extended beyond her bathing routines. She was known to wear the same costumes repeatedly without laundering them. Costume designers and wardrobe assistants frequently complained about the odor of her outfits. Head and her team would have to frequently use fabric fresheners and sprays to manage the smell. Despite her hygiene issues, West's talent and wit made her a beloved figure in Hollywood. Her ability to captivate audiences with her performances and humor ensured her continued success. However, those who worked closely with her could not ignore the challenges posed by her hygiene. West's hygiene habits often became the subject of gossip among Hollywood insiders. At parties and social gatherings, whispers about her strong scent and unwashed clothes circulated. Yet, West remained unbothered by the chatter, continuing to live her life on her own terms. Her confidence and disregard for societal norms only added to her allure. During the production of Mira Breckenridge, West's hygiene issues again came to light. Co-star Raquel Welch found it difficult to work closely with her due to the smell. The film's crew also had to make adjustments, ensuring that the set was well ventilated and often using air fresheners to manage the odor. West's commitment to her unique lifestyle extended to her diet and overall health practices. She often ate organic foods and avoided processed items, believing that a natural diet was key to her well-being. This philosophy was reflected in her minimal use of commercial hygiene products, which she believed contained harmful chemicals. Instead, she used natural remedies and homemade concoctions, further contributing to her distinct scent. She was Hollywood's brightest star, the blonde bombshell adored by millions, yet hiding a secret so shocking it could destroy her entire career. Jean Harlow, the blonde bombshell, had it all: fame, fortune, and a dark secret. What was it? The truth lies behind her nasty bad smell that rocked Hollywood. Introduction to Jean Harlow's stardom. Born Harley Ann Carpenter on March 3, 1911, in Kansas City, Missouri, Jean Harlow became a Hollywood legend. Her journey to stardom began in 1928 when she moved to Los Angeles with her mother. Initially, acting wasn't her focus. She enrolled in Hollywood High School and later attended the Hollywood School for Girls. But fate had other plans. In 1929, at just 18, Harlean drove a friend to Fox Studios for an audition. There, she was spotted by studio executives who persuaded her to take a screen test. Her unique beauty and charisma were undeniable. She signed a 5-year contract with Hal Roach Studios, earning $100 a week, a significant amount at the time. Harlow's breakthrough came in 1930 with Howard Hughes's Hell's Angels. She replaced Norwegian actress Greta Nielsen, whose thick accent was unsuitable for the newly developed sound film. Hell's Angels premiered on May 27, 1930, and Jean's platinum blonde hair and seductive charm made her an overnight sensation. The film grossed over $2.5 million, a massive success during the Great Depression. After Hell's Angels, Jean Harlow's career skyrocketed. In 1931, she starred in 6 films, including The Public Enemy, alongside James Cagney. Her role as a gangster's moll showcased her talent, earning critical acclaim. The film was a box office hit, further solidifying her status in Hollywood. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, took notice and signed her in 1932. Under MGM, she starred in Red-Headed Woman and Red Dust, cementing her status as a leading actress. Red-Headed Woman, released in June 1932, was a major success, known for its risque content. Her portrayal of a seductive woman who climbs the social ladder through relationships was both controversial and celebrated. Jean's allure was not just in her acting. Her off-screen persona captivated the public. Known for her platinum blonde hair, she popularized the blonde bombshell image, inspiring countless imitations. Her beauty routine, particularly the use of peroxide, was widely discussed, contributing to her iconic status. Despite her rising fame, she faced personal struggles. Her marriage to producer Paul Byrne in 1932 was marred by tragedy. Byrne was found dead just 2 months after their wedding, leading to widespread speculation and scandal. Officially ruled a suicide, rumors persisted about the true nature of his death, adding a layer of mystery to her life. The Golden Age of Hollywood and its glamour. The 1930s, known as the Golden Age of Hollywood, were marked by elegance and sophistication. Hollywood became a dream factory, producing stars whose lives seemed perfect. Movie studios controlled the images of their actors meticulously, crafting personas that captivated audiences. Amidst this glamorous backdrop, Jean Harlow stood out as one of the brightest stars. Hollywood's power was concentrated in a few major studios: Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, Warner Brothers, Paramount, RKO, and 20th Century Fox. These studios operated on a star system, signing actors to exclusive contracts. MGM, known for its lavish productions, became Harlow's professional home, where she worked alongside legends like Clark Gable, Spencer Tracy, and Joan Crawford. Jean's platinum blonde hair, sultry voice, and magnetic screen presence made her a favorite among directors and audiences. Films like Dinner at 8, 1933, and Bombshell, 1933, showcased her comedic talents and solidified her status as a leading actress. Her on-screen chemistry with Clark Gable, particularly in films like Red Dust, 1932, and China Seas, 1935, became iconic, drawing millions to theaters. Behind the scenes, the lives of Hollywood stars were often far from glamorous. The studios exerted strict control over their stars, dictating their public appearances, relationships, and even personal habits. For Jean, this meant maintaining her public image as the carefree, seductive, blonde bombshell, despite personal hardships. The glamour of Hollywood was carefully curated. Stars attended lavish parties, premieres, and award shows, always dressed in the latest fashions from designers like Adrian and Edith Head. Jean Harlow was no exception. She frequently appeared in stunning gowns and perfectly coiffed hair, reinforcing her image as a symbol of beauty and sophistication. The era was also one of significant technological advancements in film. The transition from silent films to talkies in the late 1920s changed the industry forever. Jean's career benefited from this shift, as her voice and presence were perfectly suited to the new format. Sound technology improved, allowing for more complex and engaging storytelling, and Harlow's films were at the forefront of this evolution. Early rumors and gossip. In the midst of Hollywood's glittering facade, rumors and gossip circulated just as freely as the films themselves. Jean Harlow, despite her fame and beauty, was not immune to the whispers that spread through the studio lots and the press. Early in her career, murmurs about a peculiar issue began to surface, a persistent bad smell that followed her. Gossip in Hollywood was often fueled by rivalries, jealousies, and the intense competition among stars. For Jean, the rumors likely started as idle chatter among the studio staff and fellow actors. On film sets, where people worked in close quarters for long hours, any unusual trait could quickly become a topic of conversation. Despite the controlled image the studios presented to the public, behind the scenes, stars were scrutinized by everyone from makeup artists to directors. The first hints of Jean Harlow's alleged odor problem appeared in casual comments from co-workers. Makeup artist Sylvia Sanel once mentioned in a private conversation that Harlow had a distinct smell, which she attributed to her health issues. Such comments, though rarely publicized, were common in the tight-knit Hollywood community. These whispers grew louder as more people claimed to notice the same issue. Some co-stars privately remarked on it, often citing it as a minor inconvenience during close-up scenes. For instance, Clark Gable, a frequent collaborator, was rumored to have mentioned it to a close friend, though he never spoke about it publicly. These accounts, while not officially documented, spread through Hollywood's grapevine, adding to Harlow's mystique. The rumors gained traction partly due to Jean's known health issues. She had long suffered from poor health, including kidney problems, which were not widely known to the public. In an era where medical knowledge about the causes of body odor was limited, such conditions often went misunderstood. Kidney issues in particular can lead to a condition known as uremic odor, where the body releases a distinct, unpleasant smell. Despite the growing rumors, Jean Harlow maintained her professionalism and charm on set. She continued to deliver memorable performances, and her popularity with audiences never waned. The studios, aware of the gossip, took steps to manage her public image. They increased her press coverage, emphasizing her beauty and talent, and kept a tight lid on any negative stories. In the 1930s, the tabloid press was less invasive than it is today, but it still played a role in shaping public perception. Publications like Photoplay and Motion Picture often published glowing profiles of stars, carefully crafted by studio publicists. Jean's team worked tirelessly to ensure her image remained untarnished by the rumors. This effort included orchestrating positive stories, arranging public appearances, and leveraging her personal charm to deflect any negative attention. Jean Harlow's personal life and health issues. Jean's early years were marked by a series of health problems. As a child, she suffered from scarlet fever and meningitis, which left her with lasting effects. Despite these early setbacks, she moved to Hollywood in her late teens and quickly became a star. However, her health issues persisted into adulthood, often exacerbated by the grueling demands of her career. One of the most significant health challenges she faced was kidney disease. This condition, known medically as nephritis, affected her kidneys' ability to filter waste from her blood. This led to a buildup of toxins in her body, which can cause uremic odor, a distinct, unpleasant smell. In the 1930s, medical understanding of kidney disease was limited, and treatments were rudimentary at best. Despite her health issues, Jean maintained a rigorous work schedule. She starred in numerous films, attended countless public events, and maintained her status as a leading Hollywood actress. Her marriage to MGM executive Paul Byrne in 1932 brought some stability to her personal life, but it was short-lived. Byrne was found dead just 2 months after their wedding, a tragedy that deeply affected Jean and added to her emotional and physical stress. The circumstances surrounding Byrne's death were mysterious and fueled intense speculation. Officially ruled a suicide, many believed there was more to the story. Some rumors suggested foul play, while others pointed to Byrne's own health and psychological issues. Jean, already dealing with her own health problems, found herself at the center of a media frenzy. The studios worked hard to protect her image, but the stress of the situation took its toll. In addition to her kidney disease, Jean also suffered from influenza and other recurring illnesses. These health problems often required hospitalization and extended periods of rest, which conflicted with the demands of her career. Despite these setbacks, she continued to work, driven by a strong work ethic and a desire to maintain her star status. The combination of her health issues and the pressures of her career created a perfect storm. Jean's doctors were aware of her kidney problems, but the treatments available at the time were limited and often ineffective. She was advised to rest and reduce her workload, but the financial and contractual obligations of her career made this difficult. Jean Harlow's health problems were a well-kept secret from the public. The studios and her management team went to great lengths to maintain her glamorous image, ensuring that her fans saw only the radiant star on the screen. However, those who worked closely with her were aware of her struggles. Makeup artists, customers, and close friends witnessed her frequent bouts of illness and the measures she took to manage her symptoms. The science behind body odor and health conditions. The rumors about Jean Harlow's smell, while sensationalized in Hollywood gossip, have roots in medical science. Understanding the link between her health conditions and the alleged odor requires delving into the science of body odor and its causes. Body odor is primarily caused by bacteria on the skin breaking down sweat into acids. The apocrine glands, located in areas like the armpits and groin, produce sweat that is rich in proteins, which bacteria feed on, producing body odor. Most people can manage this with regular hygiene practices, but certain health conditions can exacerbate the issue. Jean Harlow suffered from chronic kidney disease, specifically nephritis, and inflammation of the kidneys. Kidneys filter waste from the blood, and when they malfunction, toxins like urea build up in the body. This can lead to uremic odor, a distinctive smell often described as resembling ammonia or urine. In the 1930s, nephritis was a serious condition with limited treatment options. The buildup of urea and other waste products in the body could lead to a variety of symptoms, including severe fatigue, swelling, and changes in skin color. More importantly, it could cause the body to emit a strong, unpleasant odor, especially noticeable during physical exertion or stress. Medical understanding of nephritis and its symptoms was still developing during Harlow's time. Treatments were largely supportive rather than curative, focusing on managing symptoms rather than addressing the underlying disease. This often included dietary restrictions, rest, and in some cases, early forms of dialysis. However, these treatments were not always effective, especially in severe cases. Jean's condition would have been managed by the best medical professionals available, but the limitations of the time meant she still suffered significant symptoms. The persistent uremic odor, a byproduct of her kidney disease, was something she likely struggled to control. Personal hygiene and perfumes could only do so much to mask such a strong and medically rooted scent. Further complicating matters, the stress and physical demands of her acting career would have exacerbated her condition. Long hours on set, under hot studio lights, combined with the stress of maintaining her public image, would have increased her body's production of sweat and urea. This would make the odor more noticeable to those in close proximity, such as co-stars, makeup artists, and costume designers. Despite these challenges, Jean Harlow remained dedicated to her career. Her ability to perform under such conditions speaks volumes about her professionalism and resilience. Eyewitness accounts and first-hand experiences. The persistent rumors about Jean Harlow's distinctive smell were bolstered by eyewitness accounts and first-hand experiences from those who worked closely with her. These stories, shared quietly within Hollywood circles, contributed to the myth and mystery surrounding her personal life. One of the earliest mentions came from Sylvia Sanelli, a well-known makeup artist who worked on several of Harlow's films. In private conversations, Sanel recounted how she noticed a peculiar odor during close-up scenes. "It wasn't overpowering, but it was distinct," she mentioned to a colleague. These comments, though never publicized, circulated among Hollywood insiders, adding to the whispers about Harlow's condition. Clark Gable, one of Jean's frequent co-stars, was also rumored to have noticed the smell. Although Gable never spoke publicly about it, his close friends recounted his remarks. During the filming of Red Dust in 1932, Gable reportedly confided in a friend about the issue, expressing sympathy for Harlow's health problems. These personal anecdotes, while not officially documented, fueled the speculation. Another significant account came from assistant director Charles Belden, who worked with Harlow on Dinner at 8. Belden later shared his experiences with a close circle of friends, describing how he often noticed the odor during long shoots. He attributed it to the grueling schedules and intense physical demands placed on actors, particularly those with underlying health conditions like Harlow. These personal stories paint a picture of a woman who, despite her glamorous public persona, struggled with significant health challenges. The anecdotes from colleagues and crew members offer a glimpse into the realities of working with Jean Harlow and the impact her health had on her daily life. It's important to understand that these accounts were shared within a context of respect and admiration for Harlow. Despite the rumors, those who worked with her often spoke highly of her professionalism, dedication, and resilience. For example, Myrna Loy, a co-star in Libeled Lady, once praised Harlow's work ethic, saying, "Jean was always the consummate professional. She never let anything interfere with her performance." The studios were aware of the rumors and took steps to manage them. MGM, in particular, orchestrated a strict regime to maintain Jean's public image. This included regular press releases highlighting her beauty and charm, as well as carefully staged public appearances to reinforce her glamorous persona. The goal was to ensure that the public saw only the blonde bombshell and not the person grappling with serious health issues. Behind the scenes, Jean Harlow took measures to mitigate the effects of her condition. She was known to use heavy perfumes and frequent bathing to manage the odor, though these efforts could only do so much. Her close friends and family were supportive, often helping her cope with the challenges posed by her health. Hollywood's reaction and damage control. Hollywood's reaction to the rumors surrounding Jean Harlow was swift and calculated. Studios during the Golden Age were adept at managing the public images of their stars, and MGM was no exception. They implemented a series of strategies to ensure that Jean's career remained unaffected by the whispers about her health and alleged odor. MGM's public relations team, led by Howard Strickling, orchestrated a comprehensive campaign to protect Harlow's image. Strickling was known for his skill in handling scandals and controlling narratives. Under his direction, the studio took several steps to counteract any potential damage from the rumors. Firstly, MGM intensified Harlow's media presence. She was featured in numerous magazine articles, interviews, and public appearances, all highlighting her beauty, talent, and charm. These pieces often included staged photo shoots and carefully crafted stories that reinforced her glamorous persona. The goal was to keep the public focused on her screen performances and personal allure, diverting attention from any negative gossip. In addition to media saturation, MGM leveraged the power of Hollywood's social scene. Jean was frequently seen at high-profile events, surrounded by other stars and influential figures. These appearances were meticulously planned to ensure she was always in the best light, both literally and figuratively. The studio also encouraged friendships and relationships with other high-profile celebrities to bolster her image through association. Jean's personal life was also managed to minimize any negative impact. After the death of Paul Byrne, MGM swiftly moved to control the narrative. The official story was that Byrne had taken his own life due to personal troubles unrelated to Harlow. The studio's crisis management team worked overtime to ensure that this version of events was the one reported by the press. Private detectives were even employed to investigate and suppress any alternative theories that might damage Jean's reputation. The untimely death of Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow's life, marked by immense talent and undeniable beauty, came to a tragic and premature end. Her untimely death at the age of 26 not only shocked the world, but also brought to light the severe health issues she had been battling in silence. In the spring of 1937, while filming Saratoga, Jean's health began to decline rapidly. On May 29th, she collapsed on set, complaining of severe fatigue, nausea, and abdominal pain. Initially, it was believed she was suffering from the flu or a minor infection. However, her condition quickly worsened, prompting the studio to bring in Dr. Leland Chapman, a renowned physician, to oversee her care. Dr. Chapman diagnosed Jean with uremic poisoning, a result of acute kidney failure. This diagnosis explained the persistent rumors about her body odor, as uremic poisoning causes the body to emit a distinct, unpleasant smell due to the buildup of toxins. Despite the severity of her condition, treatment options were limited. Dialysis, a common treatment for kidney failure today, was in its infancy and not widely available. Jean was hospitalized at Good Samaritan Hospital in Los Angeles. Over the next few days, her condition deteriorated further. She experienced severe bloating, high blood pressure, and uremic breath, all symptoms of her failing kidneys. Despite the best efforts of her medical team, her body was unable to cope with the toxic overload. On June 6, 1937, Jean slipped into a coma. Her mother, Jean Bello, and fiancé, actor William Powell, were by her side. The news of her critical condition spread quickly, and fans across the country were heartbroken. The next morning, on June 7th, Jean Harlow passed away. The official cause of death was listed as cerebral edema, a complication of kidney failure. The announcement of Jean's death sent shockwaves through Hollywood and the world. She had been one of the brightest stars of her era, and her sudden passing left a void in the film industry.